In the heart of BurkinaFaso, where dusty roads stretch endlessly, a 5-year-old barefoot girl named Amara stepped into the path of President Ibrahim Traoré's speeding convoy and changed history. With torn clothes and unwavering eyes, she whispered a chilling warning. "You must stop, for exactly 2 hours." Confusion turned to shock when flames engulfed the route they were supposed to take moments later. But this was only the beginning. What followed was a journey filled with cryptic dreams, hidden betrayals, and a nation hanging on the edge of hope. Who was Amara? A magician? A pawn? Or something far greater? As explosions rocked plans and secrets, unraveled, one question lingered. Could her visions truly save a nation, or would the weight of destiny crush her first? What happens next will leave you questioning. Let's dive in. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the dusty roads of Burkina Faso. President Ibrahim Traoré sat in the back seat of his armored SUV, staring out at the endless expanse of dry earth. His mind raced as he checked his watch for what felt like the 100th time that morning. He was late, too late. A life-changing international meeting awaited him, a deal that could bring much-needed aid and investment to his struggling nation. Phones buzzed incessantly on the seat beside him, each call bringing more pressure from foreign diplomats. "You have less than 2 hours," one voice had warned earlier. As the convoy sped through the barren landscape, Captain Diallo, the head of security, barked orders into his radio. Everything seemed normal until the lead vehicle screeched to an abrupt halt. Dust swirled around them, obscuring their view. Through the haze, a small figure emerged, a barefoot girl no older than 5, her clothes torn and caked with dirt. She stood directly in the middle of the road, arms raised like a tiny sentinel guarding the way forward. "Sir, we'll remove her immediately," Captain Diallo said firmly, already stepping out of his car. But something about the girl stopped everyone cold. Her eyes, wide, unblinking, and filled with an eerie certainty, locked onto the president's vehicle. Then she spoke, her voice soft yet commanding. "You must stop for exactly 2 hours." Confusion rippled through the convoy. Guards shouted warnings, ordering her to move, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she took a step closer to the president's SUV, her gaze piercing through the tinted windows. "I saw flames," she whispered, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Cars screaming, and you, Mr. President, in the center of the fire." A chill ran down the president's spine. What was this child talking about? Was it some kind of trick? Captain Diallo approached cautiously, his hand resting on the holster of his gun. "Kid, this isn't a game. Move now, or we'll make you move." But Amara didn't budge. Instead, she added cryptically, "Even a lion gets caught when it ignores the silence of danger." Her words struck a nerve. For a moment, the convoy fell silent. The guards exchanged uneasy glances, unsure how to proceed. Inside the SUV, the president leaned forward, his heart pounding. There was something unnervingly real about the girl's tone, something that defied logic but demanded attention. Captain Diallo turned back toward the president, his expression tense. "Sir, this is madness. We can't delay. Let us remove her and continue." Yet, despite the urgency gnawing at him, President Traoré hesitated. That phrase, the silence of danger, echoed in his mind. It reminded him of his own childhood, growing up in a village where elders often spoke of listening to the quiet whispers of fate. Could it be possible? Could this child somehow know something they didn't? Before he could decide, another call came through. This time, it wasn't from his advisors. It was a foreign voice, sharp and impatient. "You have 60 minutes, or the deal dies." The weight of the situation pressed down on him. Every instinct screamed to push forward, to ignore the strange interruption. But then he thought of his people, the millions counting on him to secure their future. If there was even a sliver of truth in the girl's warning, could he afford to dismiss it? Against all protocol, against every rational argument, the president made his decision. "Halt the convoy," he ordered, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. Tension crackled in the air as soldiers scrambled to secure the area. Phones rang non-stop, relaying the growing frustration of officials abroad. Yet, amidst the chaos, the president couldn't shake the image of Amara standing alone on the road, her unwavering eyes watching him. Minutes passed. Then, just as doubt began creeping in, a deafening explosion shattered the stillness. Far ahead on the route they were supposed to take, smoke billowed into the sky. Over 40 vehicles lay engulfed in flames. No survivors. Silence fell over the convoy. Soldiers stared in stunned disbelief. Captain Diallo muttered under his breath, "How did she know?" The president stepped out of his vehicle, his legs trembling slightly. He walked slowly toward Amara, who stood exactly where she had been before. Kneeling before her, he asked, "You saved me. How did you know?" She looked up at him, her face calm and serene. "I only spoke what I dreamed." As the reality of what had just happened sank in, the president realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Who was this girl? And why had she appeared at this precise moment in his life? Later that evening, intelligence reports revealed that explosives had been planted along the exact stretch of road they'd avoided. Someone, or something, had known their route. That night, as the convoy retreated to a safe location, Amara began speaking again. Not to the president, but to herself. She whispered names, places, and dates, none of which made sense. Yet. The convoy rolled into a secluded safe house miles away from the destruction, but the weight of what had happened lingered heavily in the air. Soldiers murmured among themselves, their faces pale with shock. How could a child have known about the explosion? Was it luck, divine intervention, or something far more mysterious? President Ibrahim Traoré sat at a wooden table inside the dimly lit room, his hands clasped tightly. Together, Amara sat across from him, her small frame dwarfed by the oversized chair she perched on. She didn't fidget or cry. Instead, she stared out the window, as if lost in thought. Her calm demeanor was unnerving, yet strangely comforting. "Tell me." "Again," the president said softly, breaking the silence. "What did you see in your dream?" Amara turned to him, her dark eyes meeting his with disarming clarity. "I saw fire-eating cars and people running. I heard screams. And then, I saw you, Mr. President, standing in the middle of it all." Her words sent a shiver down his spine. It wasn't just the accuracy of her vision that unsettled him. It was the way she spoke, as though recounting an ordinary memory rather than a nightmare. He leaned forward, searching for answers. "Do you always dream like this? About things that haven't happened yet?" She nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. "Sometimes. Not every night. Just when they come." "Who are they?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Amara tilted her head, considering the question. "The voices. They tell me what will happen. But only if I listen. Captain." Diallo, who stood guard near the door, shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, we need to focus on securing our position. This is beyond comprehension." His tone carried both frustration and unease, but the president ignored him. There was something magnetic about Amara's presence, something that demanded trust, despite the absurdity of the situation. He reached out and placed a gentle hand on hers. "You saved many lives today, including mine. Thank you." For the first time since they'd met, Amara smiled, a fleeting, almost shy gesture that transformed her weary face. "I only did what I was told," she said simply. Later that evening, as the team reviewed satellite footage of the destroyed convoy, Captain Diallo approached the president with grim news. "Sir," he began hesitantly, holding up a tablet displaying grainy images of the wreckage. "Preliminary analysis confirms explosives were planted along the route. Someone knew exactly where we'd be." The president frowned. "That's impossible. Our schedule was classified. Only a handful of people knew about the meeting." Diallo hesitated before continuing. "There's more. An anonymous tip came through shortly after the explosion. They claim responsibility, and they know details about your itinerary." As the captain handed over the transcript of the call, one line stood out. "Next time, even your guardian angel won't save you." The blood drained from the president's face. Whoever was behind this wasn't just targeting him, they were watching them, studying their every move. The implications were terrifying. That night, unable to sleep, the president wandered into the living room where Amara lay curled up on a couch, drawing pictures in a notebook someone had given her. Curious, he knelt beside her and glanced at the sketches. They depicted scenes that seemed eerily familiar. Villages he'd visited during campaigns, landmarks he recognized from his childhood. Yet there were others he couldn't place. Sprawling. Cities, unfamiliar faces, and symbols he didn't understand. "What are these?" he asked gently. Amara looked up, her eyes wide and serious. "Places I've never been, but I see them in my dreams." One sketch caught his attention. A man partially hidden in shadow, handing over documents to another figure cloaked in darkness. The scene felt ominous, almost prophetic. "Do you know who these people are?" he pressed. She shook her head. "No, but I hear their names sometimes. One of them listens too closely." The president froze. Those words, "listens too closely," echoed in his mind. Could there be a traitor within his inner circle? Someone feeding information to their enemies? As the night wore on, paranoia began to creep in. Every whispered conversation, between aides, every glance exchanged between guards, felt suspect. Even Captain Diallo, who had served faithfully for years, seemed different somehow. The president found himself questioning everyone, even himself. By morning, the atmosphere in the safe house was tense. Soldiers patrolled the perimeter, weapons drawn. Advisors argued over whether to return to the capital or remain hidden. Amidst the chaos, Amara remained eerily composed. She wandered through the rooms, humming melodies no one recognized, occasionally stopping to sketch more visions in her notebook. It was during one such moment that she approached the president with a new drawing. This time, it showed a map of BurkinaFaso, with a specific area circled near the border. "Danger comes from here," she announced matter-of-factly. Everyone froze. The spot she indicated was remote, a region known for insurgent activity and smuggling routes. Could she really be predicting another threat? Hours later, intelligence reports confirmed suspicious movements in that exact location. Troops mobilized immediately, leaving the president to wonder. How much longer could they rely on Amara's dreams to stay one step ahead? And what price would they pay for ignoring the warnings she brought? The discovery of suspicious movements near the border sent shockwaves through the president's team. Intelligence operatives worked tirelessly, piecing together fragments of information that painted a grim picture. Armored vehicles, hidden supply caches, and encrypted communications, all pointed to an imminent threat. Yet, what unnerved President Ibrahim Traoré most was how Amara had pinpointed the exact location without ever setting foot there. As soldiers prepared to investigate, whispers of unease spread among the convoy. The anonymous caller's taunt, "Next time, even your guardian angel won't save you," echoed in everyone's minds. Who was behind this? How deep did the betrayal run? And why did it feel like eyes were watching them from every shadow? Inside, the safe house, tension simmered just below the surface. Captain Diallo paced back and forth, his usually stoic demeanor replaced by visible anxiety. "Sir," he began, addressing the president during a private briefing, "we can't keep relying on intuition. This is unprecedented, unpredictable." The president raised a hand to silence him. "Captain, I understand your concerns, but tell me, how else do we explain what happened on the road? Or the map she drew? Coincidence doesn't stretch this far." Diallo hesitated, then sighed deeply. "I'm not saying she isn't remarkable, but trusting her completely, it's risky." What if what? The president interrupted sharply. "What if she's wrong? Because so far she hasn't been." Before Diallo could respond, Amara entered the room, clutching her notebook. She walked straight to the president, her tiny frame exuding a quiet confidence that belied her age. Without hesitation, she placed the notebook on the table and flipped it open to a new page. It showed a crude sketch of two figures, one standing tall, the other kneeling, and written beneath it were 3 words: "Trust will waver." The president stared at the drawing, his chest tightening. Was this a warning? A prediction? He glanced at Amara, who simply nodded before walking away, leaving the room in silence. Later that day, reports came in from the reconnaissance mission. Soldiers had uncovered hidden weapons caches and intercepted coded messages detailing plans for coordinated attacks across multiple regions. Among the documents seized was a list of names of individuals allegedly involved in orchestrating the sabotage. One name stood out, freezing the president's blood: Captain Musa Diallo. "No," the president whispered, staring at the evidence laid out before him. His trusted head of security, a man who had served loyally for over a decade, was implicated in the conspiracy. Betrayal cut deeper than any blade, and this revelation left him reeling. Summoning Diallo to his quarters, the president confronted him directly. "Explain this," he said, sliding the document across the table. Diallo's face turned ashen as he read the damning text. For a moment he said nothing, his hands trembling slightly. Finally he spoke, his voice heavy with guilt. "Sir, I swear I never intended harm. They approached me months ago, foreign agents promising protection for my family if I provided them with updates on your movements. I thought they wanted leverage, nothing more. I didn't know about the explosives or the ambush." The confession hung in the air like smoke after a fire. The president felt anger rise within him, but also sadness. Diallo wasn't a villain. He was a pawn, manipulated by forces beyond his control. Still, the damage was done. Trust, once broken, couldn't easily be mended. That evening, the president sought solace outside, sitting under the stars with Amara by his side. She sat quietly, humming a tune that sounded both ancient and familiar. After a while, she spoke softly. "Not all shadows are enemies," she said. "Some guide us to light." Her words struck a chord within him. Perhaps forgiveness wasn't weakness. It was strength. Inspired, he made a decision. Returning to the safe house, he addressed his shaken team. "We've been betrayed, yes, but we cannot let fear dictate our actions. Captain Diallo made a mistake, but he has confessed and offered to help dismantle the network targeting us. Let us use this opportunity to expose those pulling the strings." Reluctantly, the team agreed. Under close supervision, Diallo cooperated fully, providing critical insights into the foreign operatives' operations. Slowly but surely, pieces of the puzzle began falling into place. Yet, amidst these developments, Amara grew increasingly withdrawn. She stopped drawing and spent hours gazing out windows, lost in thought. Concerned, the president called for medical attention. Doctors examined her thoroughly but found no physical ailments. Her condition baffled them. One night, as the convoy prepared to return to the capital, Amara collapsed suddenly. Feverish and unresponsive, she was rushed to a nearby hospital. News of her illness spread quickly, sparking nationwide concern. Citizens lit candles outside hospitals, praying for her recovery. Social media flooded with hashtags like "Sao Save Our Angel" and "Jaki Burkina Faso stands together." Doctors worked around the clock, trying everything in their power to heal her. But treatments failed, and hope began to fade. Desperate, the president traveled to remote villages, seeking wisdom from healers and elders. Each recounted stories of children born with extraordinary gifts, those who could foresee calamities or heal wounds with a touch. Yet none could offer a cure. On the third day of Amara's illness, an old woman arrived at the hospital, claiming she knew how to save the child. "She carries the weight of many lives," the healer explained. "To heal her, you must give her purpose, not just protection." Moved by her words, the president returned to Amara's bedside and made a bold decision. Gathering his advisors and journalists, he announced live on national television that he would adopt Amara into his family. "This child belongs to all of us," he declared. "She is our hope, our reminder that even in darkness, light exists." Miraculously, hours later, Amara began showing signs of improvement. Her fever broke, and she opened her eyes, smiling weakly. Her first words upon waking: "Thank you for believing." As the nation celebrated her recovery, Amara whispered something only the president heard. "Remember, dreams don't lie, but neither do actions." What did she mean? And what challenges lay ahead now that she was officially part of the president's life? The announcement of Amara's adoption sent ripples across Burkina Faso. It wasn't just a personal decision, it was a declaration of faith, hope, and unity. For days, the nation buzzed with emotion. Citizens from all walks of life, farmers, teachers, market vendors, and politicians alike, spoke of Amara as if she were their own child. She became more than a symbol. She was a beacon of resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, light could emerge. For President Ibrahim Traoré, adopting Amara felt like destiny. From the moment he knelt beside her on that dusty road, he had sensed a connection, an unspoken bond that transcended logic. But now, as her legal guardian, he carried not only her future, but also the weight of a nation's expectations. Would she continue to share visions? Could they trust her dreams to guide them? Or was this chapter of miracles coming to an end? Amara settled into palace life with surprising ease. She wandered its halls barefoot, humming melodies that seemed older than time itself. Servants marveled at her ability to find solace in places others overlooked. A quiet corner of the garden, an unused library filled with forgotten books. Yet despite her calm demeanor, there was an undercurrent of mystery about her. She often spoke of things she couldn't possibly know, recounting stories of villages hundreds of miles away or describing events that hadn't yet occurred. One evening, during a tense strategy meeting, Amara walked in unannounced. The room fell silent as she approached the large map spread out on the table. Without hesitation, she pointed to a specific location near the border, a region notorious for insurgent activity, and declared, "Danger comes from here." Everyone froze. Just weeks earlier, her warning had led to the discovery of hidden weapons caches. Was she predicting another threat? Intelligence operatives scrambled to verify her claim, and within hours, reports confirmed suspicious movements in the exact area she had indicated. Troops mobilized immediately, averting what could have been another catastrophic attack. As gratitude swelled among his team, the president realized something profound. Amara wasn't merely a prophet of doom. She was a guide, steering them toward solutions rather than fear. Still, questions lingered. Who or what was behind her visions? Some believed she possessed a divine gift, while others speculated she might be connected to ancient spiritual practices passed down through generations. To uncover answers, the president arranged meetings with elders and healers from across the country. Each shared tales of children born with extraordinary abilities, those who could sense danger, heal wounds, or communicate with spirits. Yet none could fully explain Amara's unique talents. One elder, however, offered insight that resonated deeply with the president. "She carries the weight of many lives," the man said, his voice trembling with reverence. "Her purpose is not to predict disaster, but to inspire change. Listen not only to her words, but to the actions they demand." Inspired by these words, the president began involving Amara in discussions about policy and governance. Though she was only 5 years old, her insights were uncanny. During one session focused on education reform, she suggested building schools closer to rural areas, arguing children shouldn't walk so far to learn. Another time, when discussing healthcare, she urged leaders to prioritize mobile clinics, saying, "Doctors should go where people are sick, not wait for them to come." Her suggestions weren't just practical, they were visionary, rooted in empathy and understanding. Slowly but surely, Burkina Faso began transforming under her subtle influence. Policies shifted, priorities realigned, and communities rallied, together with renewed purpose. Yet not everyone welcomed Amara's presence in the palace. Critics accused the president of exploiting superstition for political gain, dismissing her visions as coincidence or fabrication. Social media debates raged, with some hailing her as a savior and others deriding her as a distraction. Amidst the noise, Captain Diallo, who had regained partial trust after cooperating with investigations, became a vocal advocate for Amara. "She saved us all," he said during a televised interview. "If we can't see value in that, then shame on us." His words struck a chord, silencing many detractors and uniting citizens around a shared belief in possibility over skepticism. As months passed, Amara's health remained stable, though she occasionally grew weary, as if bearing the weight of unseen burdens. Doctors monitored her closely, but no medical explanation could account for her condition. Despite this, she continued sharing visions, guiding decisions with quiet authority. In her final public appearance before retreating to private life, Amara stood beside the president at a national ceremony honoring victims of recent attacks. Clutching his hand tightly, she addressed the crowd with wisdom far beyond her years. "Remember," she said softly, her voice carrying across the square, "dreams don't lie, but neither do actions. We must work together to make tomorrow better than today." The audience erupted into applause, tears streaming down countless faces. In that moment, it became clear. Amara wasn't just a child gifted with foresight. She was a catalyst for change, reminding everyone that hope required effort, vision needed action. Back at the palace, the president watched Amara play. In the garden, her laughter echoing against the stone walls. He thought of how far they'd come since that fateful day on the road. The lives saved, the challenges faced, the bonds forged. Whatever doubts he'd once harbored had dissolved, replaced by unwavering gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered to her later that evening as she drifted off to sleep. "You've given us more than warnings. You've given us hope." And as he turned off the light, leaving her room bathed in moonlight, he knew one thing for certain. Amara's journey was far from over. Her dreams would continue shaping not just his life, but the destiny of an entire nation. If Amara's story touched your heart, please share it with others. Let's celebrate the power of belief, resilience, and love. Like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring tales that remind us of our shared humanity.